special guest in studio with us right now. And I just want to give you all a heads up that we're going to talk about something very real and very important. And we wanted to shed a light on what's going on in, do you pronounce it Iran or Iran? Iran.
Yeah.
We want to shed a light on what's going on in Iran right now. So we have Nina from Elliot and Nina.
Hi, Nina.
She's on the night show for Q99.7. You guys are also syndicated across the country.
Mm-hmm.
And we follow each other on social media, and I saw you've been passionately posting about what the women of Iran are going through and doing, because one, it's important, I think, for all women to acknowledge and to applaud their strength and what they're standing up for. But it also hits even more close home to you because you are of Iranian descent.
Correct. So, I mean, yes, for women, but I think for people in general, I mean, this is one of the biggest human rights uprisings in the world, and I'm half. So my dad's from Tehran, Iran, and then my mom's, Blondie, German Irish. And so when this first started, I was kind of just taking in all of the news too, because we still have family there. I've been multiple times. And as an American, you're kind of a brat when you show up, like, oh, I don't have to cover my hair. Or, oh my gosh, you really think that I'm not going to show my toes today? But no, those rules are strictly enforced. So let me back up. For those of you who aren't aware, or maybe you've seen the images and heard stories, but don't fully understand, this all started because Iran has something called the morality police in place. And what they do is they make sure that the women are following the rules, making sure the hijab is covering their hair properly, that their bodies are covered, that they're walking behind men, that they're being, in their little space.
So you're saying morality police. There are actually police who are tasked. Their only responsibility is to make sure women are abiding by the clothing rules.
Correct.
Wow.
And it's not just clothing rules. I mean, before it was also like, dating was something that didn't happen. You used to have something called a temporary marriage just to be able to date somebody without any ramifications.
And something I want to point out, and I saw this on social media, and I wanted to confirm with you. So for me, I always felt like that's how it always was in Iran.
Right.
But that's not the case.
No. Oh my gosh. Okay. 1979.
Yes. But that's the thing. Like, I felt like that was just the culture. That's how it always was. But
I did too.
Then I saw the pictures of the women from Iran in the 70s, like living their best life. And I'm like, oh my God, it wasn't always like this.
No, not at all. It's kind of sad though, because up until now, all of the news coverage of Iran was always so negative. And the people of Iran are just beautiful and so generous. And our culture is so rich. But in 1979 is when this regime took over again. So back in the day, the Shah was in charge. People were going to the clubs. Their hair was free. And this isn't about hair specifically. It's about choice. Much like we here in the U.S., women want choice. And so that's what they're asking for too.
You want autonomy.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And so Masa Amini became this figure that people are fighting for. But it wasn't just her, not this isolated incident. It's just, we've had enough. They've had enough. And
explain what happened to her that started this uprising.
Right. So she was out minding her own business in a park when she was spotted by the morality police. And they said, well, this is a legend now, that she wasn't wearing her hijab properly. And so she was taken and beaten, and those injuries ultimately ended up in her death. And since then, over 200 people have died. I mean, maybe this is where it gets a little bit, serious and maybe too much to hear, but it's really important.
I didn't realize that since then 200 more people have passed.
Well, every day. So I have family in Iran right now, and it's really hard to get a hold of people. And for other Iranians, I mean, maybe you guys are dealing with the same stuff because, if you have younger cousins or, young women or people that want to be a part of this fight, protests are happening constantly in over 19 cities in this, in the country of Iran. And every time somebody leaves their home to participate in a protest to fight for their life, they're literally risking their life.
And losing it.
There's this one girl, 16 years old. You may have seen her story on the news too. She was a YouTuber. She wanted to be like, the women in the U.S., the Iranian girls that, made it over here, that get to let their hair down and play. She went out and protested. Again, she was beat. Now, of course, there's all kinds of, conflicting stories that are coming out. Oh, that's not what happened. There's even a story that her and her friend committed suicide, which is not even true. I mean, they're actually, getting beat to death out there. There's a lot of disturbing images. And the thing that's really crazy to me is that, they're going in there and they're turning off the internet. Well, you don't think that makes you not look guilty?
Right.
Like, just because you don't want us to see what's happening doesn't mean we don't know what's happening. And I think the other question, too, becomes like, well, how do we help? What do we do?
That was my next question for you. Because, I mean, just watching these images, and they're so powerful. And you talk about goosebumps as you're scrolling and you're seeing these women as they're in the streets burning their hijabs and cutting their hair.
In protest.
In protest. And you want to help, but you don't know how.
Right.
And hopefully we're helping by having this discussion today.
100% we are. Thank you so much. It's so important. I was telling you guys off the air just a second ago that even my cousin and some of his friends are trying to put together an organization to have people donate just to get media coverage.
Yeah.
The important thing is to amplify, their voices because they don't have internet, just so people can hear, what's going on. There's not a lot we can do. Money doesn't make it to Iran.
Yeah.
We can't send them money, but amplifying their voices and following other Iranian activists is huge. Sharing those posts, letting people know what's going on. There is an Amnesty International petition that, they're asking people to sign, which is just trying to enforce basic human rights, especially in Iran. And the CHRI is the Center for Human Rights in Iran. They are also collecting some money to basically to get more, resources here to make whatever they can do happen. And so the best thing you can do, I think, really is amplify the voices. It's just so crazy to see. And I was telling you guys too, it makes me so proud. While this is such a devastating thing to watch, it's actually kind of hopeful and kind of exciting.
And empowering.
Oh my gosh, so empowering. This whole movement is being led by girls.
Yeah.
Young women that are just saying, I don't want to be treated this way anymore.
Standing up for themselves.
I want a chance to live. And I was talking to my dad this weekend, and the generation before him, or his, I forget now, but they're calling them the burned generation, because once this regime took over, it was almost like their lives were just
incinerated,
destroyed.
Wow.
And so these girls want to be the next generation that makes the change. I want to be able to go back to Iran and see my family and have the best time and go to the clubs, and the food is, the best. And even just for their lives. So I'm proud of them, inspired by them. And I think not just women, everybody in the world can be inspired by somebody who's willing to put their life on the line, which I think a lot of people can relate to fight for what's right. And
you're right. It's not just women and young girls who can be inspired by the images, but it's all humans. I think, men can be inspired too, seeing how much they're willing to stick up for themselves and to fight for what they believe in, literally put their lives on the line for what they believe in.
Right. And it's wild because my father's the one from Iran, right? And so growing up, I always had a very strict father, but I think his views now of what a woman is, he's really great to my mom. He's a wonderful man, but he grew up during the time where he saw that was what women were supposed to do. And now he sees the importance, and I probably feels like it's his job to continue to empower women like me and everybody else around us to have a voice. And even Iranians in general, I think it's important to know how smart they are, how powerful they are and how loving they are. So, this whole movement is something that, check on your Iranian friends.
Yes.
Let me take a breath and say check on them, because there's this video I reposted. This girl, she's trying to cook. She's looking at her phone. She's trying to work out. She's looking at her phone. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
We're watching our motherland burn.
Yeah.
But in hope.
Thank you so much for coming on today. Really.
Oh my God, for
That's
sure.
Powerful.
It is. And just one more thing.
Yeah.
Woman, life, freedom. That's what they're saying everywhere. Woman, life, freedom. So if you see that, that's what it means.
So continue to amplify their voices and to share their message. And they're going to continue to inspire. And I hope soon that change is made and that those young women get what they deserve, young and old.
Yeah,
because they're all out there. Thank you again so much, Nina. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you guys for your time, and all of you guys listening. Thank you for taking a moment to understand.
It's The Bert Show.
The Bert Show.
Like what you just watched, you can get more of The Bert Show on your favorite podcast platform. Wherever you listen to your podcast, you can find us. I don't know what any of these buttons do, by the way.